How to Overcome Fear with Buddhist Wisdom, a transformative guide. Fear, it's something that holds many of us back from living our fullest lives. It can keep us in a state of paralysis, preventing us from stepping outside our comfort zone or taking on new challenges. But what if fear no longer had that power over you? What if you could face challenges with clarity, confidence, and calm, regardless of the obstacles? What if there was a way to embrace fear, transform it, and ultimately use it as a tool for personal growth? In this article, we'll explore 6 powerful lessons from the Buddhist teachings that have guided millions of people to overcome their fears and live with courage and purpose. These teachings have stood the test of time for over 2,500 years, offering insights and practices that help us reframe our understanding of fear and shift our mindset toward a more peaceful and empowered life. 1. Embrace impermanence and anicca. The Buddha taught that everything in life is impermanent: our thoughts, our emotions, and even our fears. This core concept of impermanence, anicca, helps us understand that nothing in life stays the same. And while fear is an inevitable part of our human experience, we don't have to let it control us. Fear often arises when we resist change, clinging to the idea that life should remain fixed. We fear losing our jobs, our loved ones, our health, and even the security we've built around us. The mere thought of losing these things can trigger anxiety and panic. However, the reality of life is that it is always changing, and the only constant is change itself. When we come to terms with the fact that everything is impermanent, including our fears, we can begin to let go of the need to control everything. Instead of fearing the unknown, we can shift our perspective and learn to embrace change as a natural part of life. It's not about becoming passive or giving up. It's about understanding that resistance to change creates more suffering. For example, when you go through a tough period in life, whether it's a personal struggle, a work-related challenge, or an emotional crisis, remember this: this too shall pass. The discomfort or fear you feel today is not permanent. By practicing anicca, we realize that no feeling, no matter how intense, is forever. Everything is in a constant state of flux, and that includes our fear. To practice embracing impermanence, take some time every day to reflect on the changing nature of life. Look at the changing seasons, the growth of plants, or even how your mood fluctuates from day to day. Understanding that change is inevitable will help you release the attachment to things remaining the same, and in doing so, you'll stop overthinking the future or imagining worst-case scenarios. 2. Understand the illusion of fear. Another powerful teaching from the Buddha is the realization that fear is often an illusion. It is a mental construct, a product of our imagination, based on what-ifs that have not happened yet. We frequently create worst-case scenarios in our minds. For example, you may stand at the edge of a high place, feeling your heart race, palms sweating, and body tensing. But if you stop for a moment, you'll realize that nothing is happening. You're not falling. You're not in danger. Your mind is simply projecting fear based on an imagined scenario that has no basis in reality. The Buddha taught that fear is like a shadow. It exists because we are not facing it directly. When we shine the light of awareness on our fear, it begins to lose its power. When you step outside of your comfort zone, fear will almost always appear. But rather than seeing it as a sign of danger, recognize it as a signal that you are about to experience growth. Fear, in this context, is not a roadblock. It's a tool that teaches us that we are on the verge of something greater. To practice understanding fear as an illusion, start by questioning the thoughts you experience when you feel afraid. Ask yourself, is this fear real? Is there actual danger? Or is this something my mind is making up? The more you practice separating your fear from reality, the less control it will have over you. 3. Mindfulness, being present in the moment. Mindfulness, or sati, is the practice of being fully present in the moment. Fear, by its nature, is often focused on the past or future. We dwell on past mistakes or worry about the uncertainties of what might happen in the future. But mindfulness brings us back to the present, helping us disconnect from the mental stories of fear that we create. One of the most effective ways to overcome fear is by practicing mindfulness. By focusing on your breath, observing your thoughts and emotions, and simply being aware of the present moment, you can create space between yourself and the fear. You'll realize that fear is just a passing thought, not an absolute truth. Mindfulness also helps build mental stability, allowing you to stay calm and centered even in the face of fear. Instead of reacting impulsively to every fearful thought, mindfulness teaches you to pause, observe, and respond consciously. When you notice fear-based thoughts arise, thoughts like, what if I fail? Or what if something bad happens? Practice observing them with detachment. Acknowledge that these thoughts are just that, thoughts. You don't have to engage with them. Furthermore, fear manifests in the body as well: tightness in the chest, shallow breathing, or sweaty palms. By bringing awareness to these physical sensations, you start to desensitize yourself to them. Instead of trying to escape or suppress these feelings, simply observe them with curiosity. As you practice mindfulness, you'll learn that fear, just like all other emotions, is temporary. It comes and it goes. 4. Understand the nature of suffering, dukkha. The Buddha's teachings on dukkha, or suffering, provide profound insights into how we experience fear. Fear is not a random emotion. It's a form of suffering that arises when we encounter uncertainty, loss, or perceived danger. But dukkha also points to the path toward liberation from suffering. Fear is a universal experience. We all have fears: fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of loss, even the fear of death. When we recognize that fear is not unique to us, that it's something every human experiences, it becomes less isolating and less intimidating. Instead of viewing fear as something we need to avoid, we can accept it as a part of life's natural flow. When you understand that suffering, dukkha, is a shared human experience, you begin to see that you are not alone in your fear. This realization allows you to relate to others who also face fear, reducing its intensity. Rather than viewing fear as a personal failing, you can see it as part of the ebb and flow of life. 5. Letting go of attachment, tanha. Attachment, or tanha, is one of the key causes of suffering in Buddhism. Tanha refers to our cravings, our attachments to people, experiences, and even our own identities. These attachments are the roots of fear because we fear losing what we are attached to. Letting go of attachment is essential for overcoming fear. It doesn't mean that we stop caring about things or giving up our desires. Rather, it means we stop clinging to them. When we rely on external factors for our happiness or security, we become vulnerable to fear. Fear arises when we feel threatened by the possibility of losing something, whether it's a relationship, a job, social status, or even our own identity. When we practice non-attachment, we free ourselves from the grip of fear. We learn to enjoy the present moment without clinging to it or expecting it to last forever. Non-attachment also helps us cope with the unpredictability of life. We cannot control everything, but we can control how we respond. Fear often arises when we try to control every outcome. Instead, by embracing non-attachment, we allow life to unfold naturally, and we learn to trust the process. 6. Cultivate patience, khanti. Patience, or khanti, is a powerful virtue in Buddhism that plays a crucial role in overcoming fear. Fear often emerges from a sense of urgency, the desire for immediate answers, quick fixes, or control over uncertain situations. But when we cultivate patience, we create the space for our fears to subside. Patience helps us accept that things take time. It allows us to endure discomfort without reacting impulsively or trying to escape it. Fear often arises when we feel that things are not happening on our timetable. But when we cultivate patience, we learn to tolerate uncertainty, trust in the process, and accept that things will unfold in their own time. By practicing patience with ourselves and with life, we can develop the strength to face challenges calmly and with equanimity. We stop expecting perfection and learn to accept that setbacks and mistakes are part of the journey. Patience helps us move through life with more understanding and compassion, and it reduces the fear of failure. Conclusion: transforming fear into courage and growth. By embracing these 6 teachings from the Buddha, you can transform your relationship with fear. Instead of being overwhelmed or paralyzed by fear, you will begin to see it as an opportunity for growth, awareness, and deeper peace. Fear is not something to fight against or repress. It is simply a part of life that we can learn to understand, navigate, and eventually transcend. Remember, fear is temporary, and it can be overcome with mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom. You have the power to stop your fears and live a life filled with courage, peace, and freedom. If you found these lessons helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insights. Remember, you have the power to live a life of courage and freedom, and the journey starts with a single step toward transforming your relationship with fear.